What's up, War Report family? C-Dub here. The fellas, we're all here. And this is our 100th live show. And of course, we're celebrating it with the best family there is, the AU family. And tonight, we're going to be talking about all things surrounding Auburn football in the middle of spring practice. So, fellas, are y'all ready?
Yeah, let's
You
go.
already know that.
Well, of course, they're ready. And I hope you are ready because we're getting ready to enter the war room.
You are now listening to the War Report. Wednesday night War Room. Ike Jones. Big Will. C-Doe. Mike G. Let's go!
War Eagle. War Eagle.
Right,
Come on into the room. Do us a quick favor. You know what to do. Smash that like button.
Yeah.
Give us a War Eagle in the comments. Some of y'all are already doing it. Also, please, whatever you do, just drop your city. If you haven't done that already, we want to see where you're from. Also, too, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're tweeting, whatever, tweet this link out so people will know that we're live and we're celebrating with you guys. So definitely do that. We want to make sure we get a lot of people watching this, enough eyes on this. And that's it, man. We appreciate you guys checking us out. We see a lot of people on who are subscribed to us. Paid subscribers. Boy. That's always a beautiful thing. And if you're wondering how you can become an insider with us, Mike G can give us the lowdown on how you can do that.
Listen, if you're asking yourself why become an insider, I'm going to tell you. I see that my man Ed Darby is in here talking about our last Chop It Up with a Pro. What's going on, Ed? We brought Devin Aromashadu on, and he got in with Ike, and they dug into the film to talk about wide receivers' routes, responsibilities, reads. It was very educational for a lot of us to learn the responsibility that the wide receiver has to read the defense, but pre-snap, right? So it's more than just running routes. I love digging into this. The film reviews are some of my favorite stuff. So that being said, our next Chop It Up with a Pro is coming with none other than Chris Todd. So we're doing a QB Chop It Up. I expect it to be highly divisive with lots of
y'all already know y'all been waiting. Since we started doing film review, everyone has been waiting on this one right
Chop
here.
It Up. Right. So as always, if you saw the last Chop It Up, but you were not an insider, you will not be able to see this Chop It Up unless you're an insider. So those are now exclusive only to insiders. How do you become an insider? $5.99 will get you there. If you're on an iPhone, you have to view it from your web browser in desktop mode. Otherwise, hit a computer. You'll see that join button right there on our front page. And as always, we got the merch. You see us all wearing it. Get your weight up. This is a great way to support us. And you can also support us by hitting our GoFundMe. I have been overwhelmed by the generosity of the people who watch our show and support what we do. So please, if you want to support us, we appreciate super chats. YouTube takes a big cut of that. We don't want to make them rich. So help us bring you more quality content. Hit that GoFundMe. And then last but not least, part 2 of our Building Rapport series with Kevin Yox is coming next Monday. In his first interview, he told us a lot about his background and really set up the intro to, his experience and why he got into the strength and conditioning game. This next interview goes deep. We talked to him for over 2 hours and had to break it into 3 parts. You definitely don't want to miss this interview. Building Rapport, 10 a.m. Eastern, every single Monday. We are dropping that for you. If you're an insider, you get to see it on Saturday morning. So starting Saturday morning, that drops for insiders. Monday morning for everybody else. And that's it. That's all I got.
Definitely want to shout out Unleashed Magazine.
Hey,
my man Avery Thrasher. What's up, baby?
Appreciate you,
bro.
Avery, man.
Yes.
Man. We got people filling on in, hollering at us. Thank you, Corey, thanks for checking out that interview. Listen, it was fire interviewing the man. Man, it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure to, man. One of the things that stood out to me about Coach Jacques is for a lot of people to give him his just due and praise. He was an incredibly humble man.
Yeah,
right.
Sure, yeah.
And that's just one of the things that was just refreshing talking to him, like a guy who has every reason to pump his chest and brag on his accomplishments is just humble. And it was just a pleasure to talk to him. He enjoyed talking to us, and we're looking forward to doing more stuff with him in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I was completely taken back by his humility.
Yeah.
And how humble he was. And every player we've talked to has credited him significantly for either their physical or their mental improvement to be able to play college football at a high level. He is a great man. He's an Auburn man. I don't care what he did after he left Auburn. He's always an Auburn guy in my heart. He was here from 99 to 2012. So he was actually part of 2 undefeated squads at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
He had his hand in 2 of them. 04, 2010, and if you ask me, that 04 one should have been a national championship anyway. So you definitely don't want to miss that. If you, as Caesar said, it was just talking to him. I felt like I could have talked to him all night, digging into his brain and the stories that he had about the players and just, the things that he did. And, he kind of showed me that strength and conditioning is a little bit more straightforward than I thought. Now, y'all know I love me some strength and conditioning, right? And Jacques broke it down, and he said, listen, Mike, there's strength, and then there's conditioning. And he talks about, the methodology behind when you do what, and, why one may be more important than the other in playing college football. Yeah. So, I'll leak this. Jacques said it. He said a couple times during our interview, he said, if you can't run, you can't play.
Yeah.
Right. And I was I was as starstruck as you'll see me during one of these building report interviews. Y'all can have all these players, man. Jacques is the man. So we are incredibly grateful to him for donating his time to help us educate ourselves and our listeners. And also, he's a friend of the show. He is a friend of the show. So. Yeah. Do not be fooled. Before I throw it back to Caesar, I just want to say this. It's our 100th live stream.
Yes, sir.
And I firmly believe that we are bringing you guys something that nobody has done in this space before in terms of education. So just don't be fooled by the imitators out there. We have our channels that we support, certainly. Vernon Speaks. Chase H, I see you in the comments here as well. He just dropped a video on average recruiting classes.
Let's talk about that one in a second too, man.
Please.
Chase, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I am gonna watch it after we get done here. But I did see some of the commentary that happened in All About Auburn about it. So I definitely want to.
I did see that
a little bit.
It was a great, thought-provoking. Chase and I have conversations on the side about just football and life and stuff. And he told me he was dropping this video, and I told him, I said, it's funny that you're doing a deep dive on that because that's something that we talk about a lot on our show. So I encourage you to go watch his video. This is by no means a preclude to not watching his video. You need to go watch that. But there is definitely a correlation between average recruiting classes and people who are pulling in championships every year. Right. But there's also a correlation between what those certain schools are doing with the talent they get, because he pulled a number that I thought was very shocking to me about Auburn. And that we have an average over the last 10 years. So if you don't go back 12, you go back 10, we average 9th in recruiting. 9th. Man, we talk about development so much, and I was so blown away just to see that on paper. Chase does his research, and I just thought to myself, I was like, wow, like 9th, and how many times have we finished outside the top 25 of the final standings?
That's all I listen. We'll talk about it here in a second. Let's get to some of these comments.
Let's do that. We do have a question related to insiders. Jeremy Elkels, War Eagle alum. Remember you, my guy. He has a question. Do insiders have access to old Chop It Ups?
Absolutely. Yes. We found a way to make that happen for you guys. So if you want to go back and watch the film review that we did with Devin Aromashadu, that is up. Also, the first 2 that we did with King Dunlap are posted for you guys, so that you guys know the first Chop It Up is just a Q&A for you guys.
Right.
Ask him any question you want.
A week from tomorrow, we will have our first Q&A with Chris Todd. The film review is going to be 2 weeks from that. So just for clarity.
Right. So Chris Todd is a friend of the show. And he hits me up from time to time, and we just go back and forth about football. He's incredibly intelligent and insightful guy. He had all the tools up here to play the game at a very, very high level. And so, again, we are honored and humbled to be able to pick his brain. So, to circle back on the question, yes, that is now available to you guys to view those in their entirety.
For sure.
So, let me shout out.
Go ahead, B.
Boy, Clifton. What up, Clifton? He used to be my pest control dude, man. He was the greatest pest control dude.
Pest control dude at like the apartments or at the school?
No, like in my house.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, man.
He was shout out to you, Clifton, keeping them critters out the house. I feel.
Listen. Hold up, B. Just like you had to have a good relationship with a good barber, homeowners, you got to have a relationship with a good bug man in the South. Like that is an underrated relationship. Continue, B. Talk about how great this man is.
Right, man. Let me tell you, man. This man, he hooked it up. We had ants one time. One time we had ants. I tried to do it myself. Terrible idea. Looked online, got some ideas wrong. I called this man. I might have seen maybe about 5 ants and 2 roaches over the next 2 years.
Oh, man.
This man did the thing, man. He did the thing. So shout out. He ain't my guy no more because he actually moved. Him and his wife had to move closer to where they live, their hometown, so he couldn't commute this way. But appreciate you watching and appreciate the work you did for me, man. Good luck to you out there.
Man.
Also, appreciate the super chat.
Appreciate that very much.
Appreciate that. Happy to be here for you.
Yeah.
Listen, do we got any?
Damario's in here talking about this Chop It Up. Man, listen, I am blown away by how many of you guys love that Chop It Up. Right, like it was that one. It was good. Here before Walt starts out bidding, Walt is also a friend of the show. So
he is.
Yeah. So we can talk about this a little bit now. I don't like putting people out there like this, but if y'all don't know, if you haven't seen the first Yachts video, we landed our first sponsor, right? And it's actually Walt's company. Walt's company actually decided to sponsor some content for us. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, if y'all got companies out there and you want to get your logos and stuff out here, we doing that too. Listen, I keep telling y'all we're going to keep doing more and more big things. Just wait. I promise you have not seen everything yet. We have so much more stuff in store for y'all. As long as y'all keep supporting us, I promise you we're gonna keep doing some dope things. I don't wanna jump the gun too much about what we're trying to do in the fall. Y'all been talking about, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Just hold your horses. We're gonna give you plenty of time, but I promise you it's gonna be worth the wait. But yes, indeed, we got more stuff coming. But shout out to Walt for being a very big supporter of this, of what we got going on, and we appreciate him sincerely.
Yeah, listen. Riley M, my man,
and he became a member. Hey, had to make it official.
Yeah,
appreciate that, my guy.
Listen, and we aim to keep you feeling that way. Always working on it.
Here you go. Here you go.
See, look what you just started, Corey.
I say, Corey, you actually asked for this smoke. So
wait, was it Walt that said his wife's a Bammer and that he's spending her allowance when he super chats?
I think so. I think it was Walt.
Yeah, it was Walt, right? Anyway,
Corey said he's done trying to outbid Walt. Yeah, you're going to have to step up majorly to try to come with that. But hey, listen, super chats are cool and everything. Walt just had to level up a little bit, and so he did his thing. So we appreciate that.
Listen, my man, go ahead. Love the interview from hearing the players talk about him. I thought he was going to be more intense, but seems calm and professional. Listen, he's virtually retired.
Yeah.
Right. I won't put his business out there, but listen, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in coaching here, in the next few years. Just he's too good. Yeah. He's too good at what he does, man, to sit on the sidelines and not be involved in some way. I hope it's at Auburn. I hope he gets a chance at Auburn somehow.
Yeah, he loves what he does too.
Yeah, it's super evident. Too.
Yeah, listen to other people, like people who are not even like JG a week ago was like, hey, this guy helped me lose 100 pounds, right? And defended him, right? When someone, talked about how JG couldn't last on the field, like he's passionate about helping people and he's passionate about what he does. I wouldn't be surprised, Mike G, if he ends up doing it again with another school, because that's whatever school, if that was to happen, Lansing would be a lucky institution and better because of it.
Ed Darby raises an interesting comment here. We started with 20 views. Man, let me tell you, we did start with 20 views.
That's
a long
fact.
time ago. Myself and Isaac.
Yeah.
How long ago was it? Almost a year and a half ago now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have some people who were following us back then, like Devin Dawson, was following us back then when we were humble beginnings, and we're going to stay humble.
Anthony Grant's been here for a long time.
Shout out to
Anthony.
Anthony.
Been for a long time. So we are humbled and honored to be at 100 and going strong. So we'll see you guys on the other end of 200.
You guys have definitely seen the growth for sure.
Yeah.
So listen, not that I necessarily want y'all to go watch all them old shows where we was trash, but they're there. They're available. We didn't delete them.
Don't go.
Yeah, right.
Good. Just watch this right now. We good right now.
Don't despise the small beginnings, man. We've come a long way. Shout out to Jeremy. We gave him a tip, and he went right on ahead. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for becoming an insider. Right. This is interesting. We're interesting. We're at the 15-minute mark here, so I want to get into some football talk. We've got the week off, right? And they go back to practice next week, I believe.
Yeah.
So 1 week in the books. How are you guys feeling about what we've seen so far on the practice field?
Feeling all right. Hold on, I just want to make sure, because we was talking about day ones. I have to make sure my man Mike Hicks get a shout out right there too, man.
He was cheating on us for a little bit.
Mike G was harassing this man, stalking him in the other content boards. But yeah, Mike, thank you, man.
Mike was treating us like a side piece for a long time, and he finally realized we was the number one. So appreciate that, man.
Come on back. But yeah, man, I'll start. Listen, I feel pretty good about what we're seeing on the field. Only bad news to come out of this camp so far is Wright's injury. Again, heart goes out to that young man. I wish him a speedy recovery. And he's just for all reports were that he was killing it this spring. Before this happened. So, we're going to have to dig deep. This is what developing depth is about, right? We wish him a speedy recovery, but it is next man up. So somebody's got to step up and fill those shoes here this fall.
The biggest thing that, to me, to answer your question, I like what I'm hearing in terms of how the players have taken to the new coaches. Mm-hmm. The players were very vocal about the previous coaching staff leaving. So it was very interesting to me to just see these guys take to this coaching staff so fast before they even got to spring practice. I mean, I think it helps when you see the AU football hype video and Harsin is up 5:30 in the morning working out with these guys. That's important, right? You're not just telling them what to do. You're proving that, I will do this with you.
Right.
And so I think building that relationship with the players early on was huge, and it just seems like those guys have taken well to just the culture that Harsin's trying to bring. He is different than what the previous coach was doing. Definitely a hard-nosed coach, all about discipline and focus, and he's really getting them to just focus on everything that they're doing, right? Not just going through the motions. And I think, to me, that's very important in terms of building a championship program. Bo Nick said it. This guy he's very extreme when it comes to being particular about the details. He's very detail oriented, and that's important when you're trying to get to the next level. So to me, just hearing those things coming from the players has been refreshing to hear, because we wanted to see new ideas, and I think we're getting that.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to come down to me. For me, it just comes down to play calling and play scheme in terms of how well, how far this team will go. I'm not convinced that, I don't know. I'm iffy on the O-line, right? I know they have improvements that they need to make, certainly. I'm not certain they need to be world beaters for us to win 10 games. I just think a good scheme can scheme around a lot of what we saw.
I mean, that's definitely one of the things that, so far, I think the things that I like the most about what I've seen is kind of back to the theme is, like you said, Caesar, attention to detail is a big thing for me. I think for the first time And again, I apologize to anybody who really loved the previous administration, but for the first time in a while, kids are learning how to play football for real. They're coming here and they're learning how to play football. I rarely talk about interviews that we have coming up, but I will say that we do have some interviews coming up where we talk to some guys and they talk about, even in the previous interviews, we talked to guys who talk about like the ascension it takes mentally and physically to get to the next level, even from high school to college and then college to the pros. And one of the things that they talk about is when they were in college, they weren't watching film a ton. AT talked about he didn't watch a ton of film when he was in college. Who was the other person that we just interviewed recently that was talking about that?
Cooper Wallace.
Cooper Wallace. Y'all haven't seen Cooper Wallace. He's one of the ones we got coming up. Cooper Wallace was talking about how he wished he had learned to watch film when he was in college. I think that this staff is going to be preparing young men to be professionals, even at the collegiate level. You think you're a pro because you've been going to all these camps and these 7-on-7s and you're doing all this stuff that resembles football, right? In those 7-on-7 drills and a lot of those 1-on-1s, you're seeing wide receivers go out there and make 3 and 4 moves to get open. You're not going to have that much time in a game in the SEC. You're definitely not going to have that much time in the NFL. You have to understand the details of what it is to release off of the line as a wide receiver, what it is to be on time with your break, in and out of your breaks. If you're an offensive lineman, you know, again, I don't normally tease a lot of the videos that we have coming up, but because it's already recorded, I can talk about this. We talked to Cole Kubelik recently, and he was talking about the difference athletically it took, about the type of steps that you have to make in pass protection. There are things that are detail oriented that you have to learn how to do. Cooper Wallace talked about that same thing. The details it takes to play the position at a high level, it's more than just athleticism. Sometimes you have to be heady. A lot of the times you just have to learn from the film and you need mentorship. There's a ton of things that you got to be able to do. And I think that this staff is equipping those guys to do that. We may not see that in year one, right? We may not see this huge turnover and all that stuff. But what we will see, and luckily for a lot of those underclassmen, I'm thankful for Tank being able to learn this stuff early, right? He's going to have 2 years of guys showing him this is what it takes to be a pro back, right? You got Cadillac already there in the room, but you've got people who are designing offenses that you're going to see in the NFL. I'm thankful for a lot of our young linemen that are coming in that are going to get a chance to learn this early. We got this fresh wide receiver core that they don't have to unlearn a bunch of bad habits. They're going to get all of this stuff early. Bo Nix, unfortunately, had 2 years of it, but he still has 2 years of eligibility left where he can come in and he can really learn how to play the position a little bit better. That's the thing I'm most excited about, the detail-oriented nature of an offense that resembles an actual professional offense. Yeah. And that is going to, in turn, mean recruits seeing that. And we get into, now we can start getting those 5-star recruits that want to come and see a professional career after Auburn. This is the starting point for that.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you don't have guys on offense trying to convince scouts that, hey, I can play at the next level. You can see it on film. You can see that they understand how to play. You can watch the film, and I don't have to give you a lot of lip service to that. Hey, I can run routes. We did run routes. Right. They're teaching them how to play the game.
Yeah. So you don't have to wait till your pro day to prove to somebody that you have the ability. You've got film to show them. Right. So if they don't ever come to your pro day, that you can send a package and say, look at me run this route. I got a 9 route in there. I got this out route in here. I got this, this over route. This is me in this blocking scheme. This is me understanding what my hot read is off of this stuff. I can send you that entire package because I did it for years on Saturdays.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let's pause real quick. Shout out a few people.
Pocket Watch. Pocket Watch was just saying that he was joining specifically. Pocket Watch could be a woman. Pocket Watch was joining specifically because we have Chris Todd coming on. Hopefully, after Chris Todd's over with, you won't be like, all right, that was enough. I'm out. But listen, we'll take that, and maybe we can convince you to stay. But we appreciate that support very much.
Definitely.
Also, interesting comment here from Heath Denson. USA Today has Auburn 6th in the way too early SEC power rankings. So we were pretty mid with a 6-5 record. I would have had AU 5th and 9-3. Thoughts about that, gentlemen? Is it? We know it's way too early, but this is what gets people talking. This is what pisses people off. This is what gets people going. What do we think?
How do they have us at 6-5 when it's a 12-game season? What? Like he said, what? Listen, man.
Maybe they meant 6-6. Maybe they meant 7-5. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I
I
think
don't know.
most of those predicts. Oh, so I think it's safe to say if you write for USA Today, unless you cover the conference specifically, you don't have a good idea of what we have on the shelves here. We
Yeah.
do. You don't have a good idea of who showed really well, even when we weren't having good seasons, and we do. And you also may not have a very good idea of what the coaching staff has been doing here, what the energy has been like here. And those are things that we can read. Those are keys that we can see and kind of project forward to what we think is going to happen. Mike said this right when Gus got fired or shortly thereafter, and that was, I don't think this is a rebuild. I think our pantries are stocked enough to have a good season next year.
Right.
Now, cautiously, he was like, all right, 8-4, 7-5 at the worst. And I jumped right out and said 9-3, but it's hard to think that if strength and conditioning was an issue before, and whether or not it was an issue kind of depends on what you think about what we're doing now versus what we were doing then. But yeah, that's true. Yeah, for sure. It seems that what would we have been on the field if we had our players prepped to the current strength and conditioning standard? Like we weren't so far away. Well, coaching wise, we were, but as far as what this talent is and what it needs to get better, we've seen coaches come in and make a world of difference. Al Borges took an offense from mediocre to undefeated. That one coach, it wasn't even the whole staff. It was one guy. They got subbed out, same strength and conditioning coach, same head coach, same D coordinator, and now we're undefeated. Like, listen, man, it doesn't take a lot, and we just swapped everything out. Why can't we improve astronomically? I think 6-5 is disrespectful, honestly. But
I do think 6-5 is a little low.
yeah,
It's a little low. It's a little low. But you know what? There's a lot that's TBD, right?
Yeah,
so
that's exactly, and that's why I'm not mad at it. Like I think it's low, but
yeah.
I'm not mad at it. What you? So this is a good exercise for everybody who wants to be objective about what they feel like the SEC schedule is going to be and what the outcome is going to be. Is go through everybody's schedule, not just Auburn's schedule, and try to predict what you feel like their record is going to be game by game, right? Because what you'll find is as you're looking at Auburn's schedule, you're like, okay, we're coming off of LSU and then we got to go play Georgia. Man, that's a hard back-to-back.
Right.
Like, are we going to bend both of those games? Now, if you go through these other people's schedules, you'll see some of those same things and you'll think to yourself, okay, what is it going to look like? That's a home game for them going into that one. Go through the entirety of the SEC and see if that changes. What you'll find is a lot of those people who make those types of predictions, they start with the teams who they feel like are going to be the best teams and they do their schedules first and they'll be like, okay, I got them as a W here. Well, by default, if you've already gone through LSU, Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama, and you've checked those off as losses for Auburn because you think those teams will win, now Auburn's starting in your predictions with 4 losses. And where do you make up the rest of that stuff in their schedule? So like, and then they're like, oh, well, they might slip to this team. So then that's another loss, right? That's how a lot of these prediction places come up with what they do. Even in the NFL, they run through the entirety of a schedule for every team, and now you're hell bent on some of your picks because it's tied to some of your other picks because they play each other.
Right.
And they tend to write teams off too who have a
100%.
coaching change.
Yeah.
So you rarely ever see people. I don't care how much talent they have on their roster. Whenever there's a transition of coaches, they're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
I
for
just,
sure.
I just think I see some 9-3s in here, 9-10 games. I just got to stress, right? Like 9 wins is real sunshine pumpy, right? Like, I mean, that's real hopeful.
Is it though?
Yeah, it is. And let me just remind everybody. Let me remind everybody that while we hope that we get better in the fall, everybody else is doing that too.
That's something that I don't know if I said this on the show, but I know Mike and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
We get excited about our improvements as if everybody else is just going to stand still. That's just not a fact.
Right.
Mississippi State is going to get better at running the Mike Leach offense. Ole Miss is going to get better at running Lane Kiffin's offense. LSU is going to be getting stronger because they're going to be healthier and they're not going to have as many guys opting out.
Right.
Bama's going to do what they do. And Texas A&M is really the only one that I'm looking at, and I'm like, I don't know what that offensive line is going to look like.
Right.
And they don't have a quarterback that we know about. Are they going to take a step back? But their defense ain't going to get any shabbier. They've been solid defensively for the last couple of years, and they actually lost a lot of key players the year before last and came back and still had a good defense, right? And so when you look at the teams that are on our schedule, Arkansas, they were under their first year with Pittman. Are they going to be better this year? We don't know that, right? We don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be in Arkansas, right? So like there are a lot of mitigating factors that will determine whether or not these other teams will be better. Not just are we getting better, but did we get better enough to either close the gap on the teams that were ahead of us or widen the gap on the teams that were behind us? That's really the question.
Listen, my thing is in the SEC, if you are standing still, you might as well just be moving backwards. And, while we hope that Harsin improves evaluation and development, there are at least 5 other schools in our conference who have been doing that better than us for the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm being generous with 5 to 6 years. All so, right. While LSU did look, comparatively speaking to what they've been putting out like trash last year, what I saw a team steadily improve through the end of the season. Now they legitimately have 2 quarterbacks who could start at most SEC schools, right? And when was the last time we were able to say that? They were fresh. I mean, and they had, if you look at all the people they had opt out of last season, it was a wonder with all they lost to the NFL that they took a step back. Nobody's panicking in LSU though over their record this year. Orgeron is not on the hot seat, man. It was to be expected given all the things and the track record with development there. So now I just want to say that like 9-3. I mean, we hope we're the team that surprises the conference, but I'm telling you, it's the SEC. So there are 13 other teams that could be that team minus Vanderbilt. Right?
He could be anybody.
It could be anybody except for Vanderbilt.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, that's the only ones I count out. Right? We got them for graduation rates. So,
all right, guys.
Anyway.
Oh man.
Hold on, B Will. Hold on, B Will. Did you want to say something on that? My bad.
No. I was gonna jump in and say, I agree that you can't just say, let me look at who you were last year. I'm gonna make some assumptions and I'm gonna correctly guess what that team is gonna be. That almost never works. All right. We, and I say we, I mean mostly me, but everybody else to a certain extent assumed that Kellen Mond was going to be the very, very mediocre quarterback. He always was. And for that reason, A&M would be a decent but very beatable team. And they've had the best season they've had since Johnny Manziel was there. So you can't always see it. But I also want to bring something else up. It's not like we just got one piece that we think is an improvement. And so the thing that's happening with us getting these interviews with players, coaches, is you realize how far behind we were. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, that's what's getting me more excited and more. I'm expecting, I was stretching like 9-3 was everything goes perfect. Now I'm expecting 9-3 and 10-2 is if everything goes perfect, because I'm realizing how far behind we were in a lot of areas.
Somebody's
just
going
not in year
from
one.
Auburn. So now,
just not in year one. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm with you, but just after year one, I think 8 wins is a good season. 9 wins is a blessing from God. 10 wins, go buy a lottery ticket right now. It's your lucky day. Right.
Well, I'll say this: when the season win lines come out, they usually come out sometime in the summer, and we'll start getting to that stuff soon. Mm-hmm. I would expect them to have our over under for season wins at about 7, and I would easily take the over for that.
I'm with you on that one.
It's just we have talent, man. It's like this. Sure. We have talent. We had at least 2 position groups that are stacked. Wide receiver, DBs. All right, DBs don't have experience. I don't care. They're talented. And now we have a better. How often have we lamented Cody Burns as a wide receiver coach? Mm-hmm. We said he had no business. Sure. All right. So that's gone. And now we got a room full of what we believe are talented wide receivers. Yeah, Tennessee took a step back too, and that was going to be the second part of it. Is okay. So maybe everybody isn't as simple as you got better, you got bad. But listen, a lot of people are worse than they're supposed to be. As long as that's not us, why can't we go 9-3? Why is that not possible?
I think we have the talent to go 9-3. I think we have the talent to go to 9-3. The reason why I'm not there yet is because I need to see it on the field, right? Like having a bunch of talent. Right. Again, this is not to bash the kid. Bo Nix is one of the most talented quarterbacks that Auburn has seen in a while.
Yeah, tons of talent.
I ain't seen it on the field yet, consistently. Right. And so having talent and showing talent are two different things. I need to see how they adapt to the changes because this is going to be a little bit more advanced than what they're used to having to do. And that means that the mental part of the game is going to be difficult and they're going to have to adjust on the fly. How they make those adjustments is what we really are going to be able to know and understand soon that I have not had a chance to eevaluate. I mean, I ain't even seen them play an A-Day yet. I don't even know what the scheme is going to look like yet, how they execute it. So,
so saying 9-3 again, because I'm thinking about the teams because a lot of people have been talking about how Texas A&M loses their whole O-line. And what I'm telling you is that when you are good at developing talent and you can play call, while that is certainly a stumbling block you have to overcome, it's not going to be the end of their season.
Right. No, agree. I'm not saying that makes them a pushover. Right. I'm just saying that is a significant, it was a strength. Experience playing O-line, especially together as a group, is a strength. They don't have that anymore. That is a tangible advantage. They don't have it. Even though Kellen Mond wasn't great, he had experience. You saw him get better the longer he was there. Now they hit the reset button. So if the next guy is more talented, he's still got to get reps. We've seen the best quarterbacks come in their first few games. Manziel, I distinctly remember they went to Manziel their first year in the SEC, A&M, and they played. It was either LSU or Florida. And they got beat like both times. They lost their first two games in the conference. And then he turned it on. And then they figured it out. They have to get reps to be as good as they're going to be, assuming that the coaching is there to maximize their talent. And so, yes, that gives us some time. I would love to catch somebody early. Now, I know we need to get adjusted to our system. But as far as having reps, being on the field, and now being stronger and more fit than we've ever been, Gus was winning 7-8 games with an underdeveloped strength and conditioning program. You just bump that, just make us a little marginally better all around the core game plan, which was still subpar. I talked about it when you cut up the film with Devin. It was bad game planning. It was bad play calling. It was bad strategy. We had so many things that were subpar. I think we improved simply by taking out the bad stuff. Now, what if everything else is actually good?
Listen,
let me say, listen, I'm not mad at that, B. My thing is, here's the win to me, consistency. You already said it, Ike. We saw under the past coaching staff, Auburn would be decent, and the next week, you don't even recognize that team anymore. Right? And when they play teams that have the same amount or more talent than they do, they just disappear. I want to see that same team showing up week after week. To me, that's a sign, regardless of the record, that's a sign of a team that's improving because you're seeing a team that's maintaining its focus from week to week. Also, in order to get those 9 and 10 wins, it's going to involve some luck. There's some teams that look strong on paper beginning of the season, but when injuries hit, when suspensions happen, when things like those things happen in a program, a kid loses his mind during the middle of the week and can't play. Right. Those things can affect the outcome of certain games. And now a team that looked like they was probably going to run us off the field look vulnerable. So though that can be where you can luck up and maybe get 9 wins here because teams, as the season plays itself out, you hope it doesn't happen to us. But as the season plays its way out, you see teams that loses guys who would probably be a problem for us are no longer in the picture. So again, to Ike's point, we just have to wait and see what happens once the season starts, and we'll get a clear picture of who's for real and who isn't.
That's true. I agree. Before we go to the comments, let me get a show of hands here. Does everybody here at least agree that with what we've seen from Harsin, we don't think a lack of effort, poor game planning, or poor preparation
You ain't got to finish the
will be
statement.
a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying.
I don't have that feeling. I mean, and that's why we're optimistic. That's why we're optimistic.
Right,
And I'm not mad at you saying, hey, why not 9? Why not 10? Like, I understand the optimism. I'm just saying there's a lot of things we got to figure out, starting with the offensive line. Somebody asked about Brahms. Who do we think is going to end up?
Oh man!
How does that shake out for us? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
someone asked a question, and they asked a question about what does the offense have to do. Something that Mike bemoans.
I mean, including Bama, we really beat ourselves. I'm going to say we beat ourselves a lot in that Bama game. If you go back and watch the first half of that game, we beat ourselves a lot in that game as well. Now, I'm not saying we win that game.
Right.
All I'm saying is we didn't help ourselves a lot. But
the game play, we was playing not to lose, from the game plan to a lot of stuff in that game. But
I don't even know if he was playing not to lose. He was just playing to show up, because that. Never mind. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna start getting mad. I don't want to get mad on my birthday. It's my birthday, not my real birthday. It's our 100th show. But I'm just saying, I don't want to be mad on my birthday.
How much better do we have to play as an offense? And again, it starts up front, I would imagine. Of course, the game plan will revolve around Tank. He's going to be the bell cow, the workhorse. But something that Mike bemoans is something that JG said is, we might be a team that plays a bit of ball control till this offense gets his legs up under them, understanding what they're doing, and we may be winning with defense. That's a possibility. You would hope to think that this offense just explodes under Harsin in year 1, but realistically, I see that maybe happening in year 2, year 3, whatnot. This first year is about them learning the offense. What does this offense have to do to hit 9 or 10 wins? I say explode.
Listen, I say, stop losing the field position battle and putting the defense in bad situations. So even if you're moving the ball, right? What we saw was what we've gotten accustomed to are long spurts of 3 and outs, where the defense holds on for a whole half.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, they're dog dead tired, and all the fans say our defense gave out. What we lost the time of possession battle by like 10 minutes. Of course, they gave out, right? So I would just say, in today's SEC, winning with defense makes my head hurt, and let me tell you why. Because we have consistently seen over the last few years that the game has changed, man. You have to score points to win. And I'm not saying you have to put up 40 points a game, but I'm saying that it cannot be a highlight of your season when your offense puts up 35 points against an SEC opponent.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long season for you, right?
I think for me, and I hate to cut, I want to agree with you and disagree a little bit. Winning with defense, I have zero problem with. W's is what I care about. But the reason why I agree with your initial point is, for me, it's just toughness along the trenches on both sides. We need to dominate the line of scrimmage much better than we have in the past couple of years. Specifically on the offensive side, we have not dominated the line of scrimmage. The defense last year, in spurts was awful in the trenches, right? We were getting run over consistently. And that goes back to your point about time of possession. We have to make that a more equitable thing in the tougher games. Those are the games where I feel like winning with defense is perfectly fine. Right. If you have a high-powered offense and you just want to play keep away with them, I'm good with that. But in the games where you're supposed... I keep trying not to go back to my frustrations previously, but my frustrations about what happened before is the games we should have been winning and dominating were dogfights.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a dogfight against South Carolina again this year. I'm sorry.
Right.
No disrespect to the people up there in Columbia, South Carolina. Y'all's team should not have beat us last year. You were trash last year. You will probably be trash again this year. I do not want to be in another dogfight with South Carolina. Right. Just period, point blank. We need to go out there, hit these boys in the mouth, and be done with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't want us struggling against Akron game 1. Alabama State needs to be up out of here by the first quarter and a half. Georgia State doesn't need to be in the game at halftime. Whoever the starting quarterback is for those games that I just mentioned, if they are still playing in the fourth quarter, I will be upset.
Right.
Dominate.
I want to just take a moment here, listen, to highlight Billy Jones. I appreciate Billy. He's a consistent contributor to our community. Billy, we see you. Thank you for being an insider. He is saying that Coach Dye and Tuberville won with defense and a power running games. Mm-hmm. My point is that era is gone.
Dead.
It's dead. Yeah. Right. So, yes, they did do it that way. But in today's SEC, because the rules are so offense friendly.
Yeah.
Right. You can't touch the quarterback. You can't touch the receivers. You can't do nothing. You can't play defense the way you did when those guys were coaching. Right. And it's just a lot of the quarterback position has evolved as well, too. So now, and I said this a long time ago, when was the last time that we saw a game manager win a national championship at quarterback?
Coker, 15.
Coker.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it doesn't
that was
happen
6 years
very
ago.
Often. Yeah,
that
it doesn't happen very
ago.
often, man.
True.
All these teams that are winning championships have dynamic quarterbacks who are playmakers on high-powered offenses. I'm not saying that we have to have 2010 Auburn offense, right? We went back after our Chop It Up with Devin. Listen, if you don't know anything about me, when it comes to arguing with fans on message boards, I am petty. I am I'm as petty as they come. And this guy was trying to tell me that in the Bama game, I don't remember what his argument about. It was something about offense in the Bama game. And I told him, I said, listen, there's no way you're selling to me that you watched the tape and you're making an argument that we had any kind of offensive flow against Bama. Just not, right? And so what I offered to him was, I said, listen, I have the film. I will chop up every single offensive play. Right. And I remember what his thing was. His thing was the reason that Bo's percentage is low is because he throws the ball away a lot. And I was like, no, man, actually, he had 2 throwaways in that game. He actually threw the ball away very little over the last half of the season. And he was making a comparison to Stidham. He said Stidham's
completion percentage
was better because he took sacks instead of throwing the ball away. And I said, no, that's just not true. There's no stats to back that up. And then when I pointed out how many throwaways he had, he changed the definition of a throwaway.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, okay, if you're going to move the needle, whatever. But again, we watched every single play from that game. And all I saw was play calling kill Bo. Bo had no chance in that game.
Nah.
Play calling killed him. Man,
the entire game plan was awful. It was so we went back and watched that the other night. I was like, oh my God, if I had hair, I would have been pulling it out. I don't actually, I know I wear hats all the time on here. I don't actually have hair under here.
Yeah. So I really do believe, again, one of the reasons why we're bringing you guys these Chop It Ups, right, is that we have a new thing now. WTF, watch the film.
Watch the film.
Right? And it's just important. I mean, you cannot make a serious argument for why we cannot do certain things unless you're actually looking at the film. And if you're watching broadcast film, it takes a little bit extra to see what you got to see if you don't have the all 22. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
Right. It's not all. It's very difficult if you don't have the all 22. To see some of the things that you need to see, but it's there, I promise you. Right. So at the end of the day, what this boils down to is that we just got to do better, man. Like our coaches have to do better for the players first and foremost. Right. They have to have a system that is better designed to put players in a better position to make plays. And then the players need to buy in and then pay attention to the details. Watch the film. Watch film. If there are any players watching us right now, watch film. Every former player we've talked to has said, I wish I took watching film more seriously when I was in school. Yep. They just didn't. And so they never reached their potential. And then they get to the league and now they ought to learn how to do it. Yeah. That's all they do. They put massive amounts of resources into making sure that people know how to watch film. So, I make no mistake about it. You'll see a lot of imitators pop-up channels over the next few whatever, and I know we all Auburn community or whatever, man. But listen, when you come to a war report,
obviously not.
We only come with real
That don't
talk.
mean that much.
Yeah, listen, I like talking to Chase H because he's real talk. I like talking to Vernon because he's just real talk. No fluff, and they don't pretend to know things that they don't know.
That's the biggest thing for me. Listen, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I know some stuff.
Yeah,
and
man.
listen, I don't have to sell you on something I don't know. I'm going to just talk about what I know. I'm going to talk about what I see. That's one of the things I liked talking to Cole Kubelik. He basically was like, people get mad at him because he talks about what he sees. And that's it. Like, I'm not going to come to you and try to sell you a hype. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to look at the film. I'm going to tell you what I see on the film. And that's it. Right. And I was like, man, this man's speaking my heart right now. I feel you right there.
Right.
Yeah, they just want you to fan out. You know what I mean? And that's a space for that.
It's okay to be a fan. Like, listen, we are fans. We want Auburn to do well. But listen, man, facts. You have to acknowledge what you're looking at. And ask you if what you're seeing is gonna get you the result that you want as a fan. We've got so much evidence that says, no, we had to make a change. We made the change. Let's be realistic about what we're seeing. So much of the caping from all areas, from other content creators and a lot of the fans, was so sad to see Gus go and so sad to hear people pointing out Bo's inconsistencies. But like, listen, I know 2013 meant a lot to you. I know it meant a lot to you. It meant a lot to me. I was in the student center and I could hear the rumble from the crowd for the kick six while I'm in here like, why are they yelling? And then I see it like a second later, like, oh my God. Do you know what that moment was like? What the prayer in Jordan hair was like? I get it. We don't get those moments, but a finite number of times as football fans, and we got a lot in a short span from Gus's tenure, but it got us nothing. All right. It was great. I'm happy I felt that way, and I know it made everybody feel tingly in your stomach. We didn't win a national championship. We won one SEC championship and no national championships in 8 years. I will trade tingly feelings for a couple SEC championships every 5 years, 6 years, and a national championship every 5 or 6 years. For every 2 times we end up in the SEC championship game, I want one national championship. And I think that's possible here. We shouldn't be accepting tingly feelings from 1 or 2 seasons. Like, we've got to want better than that.
Being okay with just winning, having a winning percentage, right? Like, who cares? I don't care. I want to win hardware.
Yeah.
If we beat Bama 3 times in 8 years with the strength and conditioning and poor preparation that we've had, how much more damage could we do?
That's
to shore up those deficiencies.
But again, because what Auburn is missing is consistency, right? The only thing that was consistent under the last administration was that they consistently recruited well. Right, they did recruit well. I'll give them that. That's why the cupboards aren't empty for Harsin. Thus, my statement was, it doesn't feel like it's a rebuild because it's not like, Gus phoned it in on recruiting. But my point is that I feel like Bo is kind of a microcosm of our bigger problem, right? All the talent in the world, but what he's missing is consistency to be great. And everybody's so frustrated. I mean, the fan base is so divided on Bo, right? There's a lot of people out here caping for Bo. They're just like, oh, it's not Bo's fault. It's not this and that. And I get yelled at a lot just for saying that Bo has a role to play in his own development.
Right.
And it's not fair to put it all on coaching. And you can still acknowledge that non-coaching hurt him.
Yeah.
So I just don't see how you can be a Bo fan and a Gus apologist at the same time. I just don't. I don't get that. I don't understand that. If you like Bo Nix, you should not like Gus very much because he didn't do very much for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping to see here is that like I'm high on Demetrius Davis. I am. I think that he has he's got everything but height. I mean, I'm telling you, man, if he was 6'3", we'd be having a different conversation about him this spring. But I'm high on him because he's got all the fundamentals. He was clearly taught at the high school level a lot of solid fundamentals that, I'm sorry, Bo never had when you watch his high school tape. So we talk about watching the film. Auburn games aren't the only film we watch. These recruiting films are really important too, because somebody saw Bo's tape and said, "Oh, he's got 5-star talent." But I'm telling you, he never had 5-star fundamentals. Never.
And that wasn't just Gus that hyped up Bo. Bo was a highly touted recruit across several services.
Yeah. When you watch his tape, it's easy to see why he has some of the issues that he has, and what I hope Harsin can do for him. And I think he is doing for him, because we hear Bo saying it. So before everybody gets in the chat yelling at me, "You hate Bo," like, listen, I hear Bo saying a lot of the things that we've been saying for the last 3 months about his footwork. Right. Yeah. I mean, he's saying it now. So it was clearly an issue. And now that he's working on it, he has hope. Now, can he fix it all in one offseason? I'm iffy on that. But I think that I don't think that he has to be a superstar quarterback for us to win 9 to 10 games.
Agreed.
Right. And when you talk about winning with defense, he just has to, he protect. One thing that Bo did well is he protected the ball very well at home. He protected the ball well at home. He didn't turn the ball over a lot in Jordan Hare, right? And if he can improve if he can take that same consistency and playmaking on the road, clean up his footwork, and clean up his ball placement. We went over this in our Chop It Up. If you just became an insider, I highly recommend you go back and watch that segment with Devin, where we talk about ball placement, and they were completions that were just poorly thrown. You get credit for the completion, but not a lot of people go back and say this, the receiver didn't get a chance to make the play because of where the quarterback put the ball. And the better quarterbacks in the league over the last 5 years, their ball placement. It's funny. I watched a thing about Mac Jones's pro day. These other quarterbacks have arm strength on him. They've got better deep balls. They've got all this stuff. But the one thing that he had on, they said make him a prime pro prospect, is his ball placement was impeccable. He puts the ball right where the receiver needs it almost every single time. It's almost a certainty that he's going to do that. And, that's how you overcome some, maybe a little bit of lack of arm strength, or, maybe you're not a run out of the pocket guy, right? I would take that. I would give back Bo's running ability for ball placement, for great ball placement. And and sit in the pocket and just put the ball where it needs to be. We would go a lot further. I'm not mesmerized by what he can do with his feet. I'm not. You know why? Because we see a lot of that in college football these days. Plenty of guys can run. Yeah. Plenty of guys can run. Not everybody can put that ball on the outside shoulder 9.5 times out of 10 when it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So
he's got time. I don't
know about that.
I mean, the 9 months between, from the beginning of the year, but he's got about 5 months now.
Yeah.
Let's hit the chat for acknowledge some people. Shout out Peyton Murphy for coming.
Shout out.
Welcome to the family. We also had a super chat buried deep within these comments. You got it?
Yep. Lawrence Robinson.
So Lawrence Robinson lets us know just about every episode how much he detests Chad Morris.
I'm
just starting to pick up on that, Lawrence.
So here's the thing.
Subtle.
Here's the thing, though. I have to admit that I felt like he was a little heavy-handed with Chad Morris until I watched the 2019 film of the Alabama game recently again. Mm-hmm. And I watched drag routes, and I watched out routes and slant routes as part of that game plan. Then I went and I watched the 2020 film with Chad Morris against Alabama coaching. And I was frustrated the entire time watching that. And I was like, you know what? Lawrence is right. Chad Morris's offense was trash last year. It was super trash last year. And I put a lot of that on, like I said earlier, I've said this before. I'm not sure if it was, he had to simplify it because he didn't feel like they were picking up on the concepts that he wanted to do. But man, it was hard to watch. I am not going to lie to you, Lawrence. Everything all the vitriol that you have been spewing about Chad, he earned every bit of that last year after you watched them comparatively year to year.
Yeah.
With the same quarterback and a lot of the same people playing at skill positions, very different outcomes of how that offense was executed.
Yeah.
All right. Now you was shooting Chad Morris a little bit of bail because of COVID and the lack of a spring.
I was.
Are you kind of?
You know what? I don't know that there's much excuse for the game planning and some of the decisions down to down. Like regardless of how difficult you feel like your system is to pick up, even the simple stuff that you put in place that you decided to keep was trash. There's a lot of trash. So
all right. That shout Chris McGuire.
Appreciate that very much.
Welcome
To the family. We got a few more. I gotta play some catch up.
I wanted to make sure I shout out the fact that King is back in the chat, and he did say that Mike G is petty, probably because he's light skinned. So you know,
I got so listen.
I'm not. Well, no, I am petty. Never mind. I'm petty again.
King is a great.
You might be on the
hater. He is a great A hater. Hate.
Shout out Corey.
What's up, man?
Appreciate that.
Tailgating, drinking party 2021.
Yeah, what are we drinking for A Day? We gotta have something, man. We gotta pick something.
That's a good question. We might need to get an A Day. I might need to see if we can talk to some. If anybody knows, so let's just do this. Let's recruit the chat. If anybody has any connections at like a local brewery or something, maybe we could do something like a beer of the day type thing. If we can get a brewery that would want to sponsor us doing that, and we could so the War Rapport at gmail.com is our email address. Mm-hmm. You can email that stuff to us. If you have a connection at a brewery here that's local to Alabama, maybe we can do some sort of beer of the week type of thing, and we can do that for our game day stuff. So I don't know. I literally just thought of that. Maybe that's something we could do.
That's a good idea.
I like that. Shout out Kenneth Sims.
Yeah. What's up, man? You've been in the chat for a minute. About time. Yeah. Listen, y'all don't be thinking I be paying attention to this stuff. I pay attention to who be here and who hadn't joined yet. No pressure. No pressure. I'm just saying I pay attention to it.
We see you. We see you.
No, but I appreciate you coming, whether you spending any money at all. You don't have to drop a single super chat. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to buy no merch. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You all continuing to show up week in and week out is that's important to me. I agree with you, Auburn Dad Life. I would prefer a single malt. A nice bourbon or a whiskey would be wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I like to get down. But I'm just saying, everybody ain't in that single malt life. But I know a lot of football fans are beer drinkers. So
listen. We're at the 1 hour mark. So I'm going to remind everybody, chop it up with a pro with Chris Todd is coming. So if you are not already ready and an insider, become an insider so you can chop it up. Chris Todd will be with us. You don't want to miss this Q&A with Chris Todd. He's going to be answering your questions. We're super excited for Chris to join us. He is a friend of the War Rapport, much like Devin Roma should do, and our OG King Dunlap. So next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow, we will be doing our first Chop It Up with Chris. He's going to come on and answer your questions. That is primarily for you insiders engagement. We'll spend the whole hour just, picking Chris's brain about football and how to play quarterback. So you don't want to miss that. The merch store is live. Get your weight up. We're all wearing it. You should wear it. Please wear it. Be a real one. $5.99 will get you there to be an insider to see that Chop It Up. So if you viewed that Chop It Up, but were unable to comment last Thursday, you will not be able to see it this coming Thursday at all. It is now just an exclusive perk for our insiders. Making it exclusive for insiders allows us to be able to engage more with you. We value all our subscriptions and members, but that little extra support gets you the ability to be able to ask questions so that we can engage with you all. Our GoFundMe is up. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube page. And part 2 of Building Rapport with Coach Yax debuts on Monday, Insiders will get it Saturday morning. I'm super excited to bring that to you guys. Coach Ox was very, very gracious in donating his time to talk to us. He is also a friend of the show. So, Caesar.
Shout out to King Dunlap with the post of the night, comment of the night.
I'll see you. I'll see you.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm petty. I admit I'm petty.
Lance, what kind of love you saying you're not getting? You know what I'm saying? You don't get no love. What you mean? I don't even understand what you're talking about. We ain't doing nothing but giving love out here in this chat, man. What you mean?
That's all. Corey Weber got he has a great idea about getting JG involved with the meet and greet drinking party because he'll definitely bring his bourbon. We may have to holler at old JG about that.
JG had me driving around DC looking for blends.
Hey, but it was worth it. That blend is fire though.
Yeah, like $120 a bottle that stuff is out here. I found it though. I found it 15 miles away into DC. I found it.
If you're looking for a less expensive, nice pour, a Woodford Reserve is definitely on that list. I dig that. Listen, I'm a bourbon drinker, right? So like we can get down with the bourbon now. I promise you, we good with that.
Yep.
Shout out to you, Kenneth. I think you just upgraded yourself.
You know,
appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to get to a comment. It was way back, and this is not to beat the dead horse. That is the death Malzahn regime. But Mop asked, why was Gus so bad away versus at home? So what I have, I don't have these facts. All right, this is not facts from me, from Gus, or for an offensive lineman that played from Gus. But what I have discussed with people who have played football was that how Gus designed and called plays was there was very little room for adjustment for the people that were on the field for him. So if you go out there in the set and the defense goes, they're running B, and you are in fact running B, you are screwed. What that means is, as an offensive line, you can't say, listen, they're lined up to get what we're getting. Quarterback, do you see this? Quarterback, do you see this, right? And the quarterback goes, all right, let's go to C instead. That wasn't happening, and that could not happen. On top of that,
because all the audibles came from the sideline, right? It was check with me, but like once that play came in from the sideline, that was it. If the defense adjusted to whatever you just called from the sideline, you're done.
You're done. So, not only that, but when you're away, the crowd noise is a factor. Whatever communication you could do to mitigate whatever the defense did to adjust, you can't do it anymore. Not at home. You got all the time in the world. You can read their mail. Gus can read their mail. He's got time, and then. All right, you know what to do now. It was a much easier situation for the offensive line and the quarterback at home versus away because of how Gus designed and called his offense. That's why we were so bad away.
Yeah. I think that, the biggest thing for me, home versus away, is when you are over the tenure of Gus Malzahn, a lot of what his offense was predicated on. Well, any offense, let me just not limit it to Gus Malzahn. A lot of what offense is predicated on is the offensive line play, right? And what you just said about being able to communicate well as an offensive line, to me, it's just indicative of what they are coaching the offensive line to be able to do.
Right.
They weren't, the communication wasn't as good on the road. And when you have mediocre at best play calling designs, right? Like the play ain't really designed well, and then it's not blocked well, it has zero chance of working, right? See, here's the thing. The best offenses that have existed aren't necessarily the ones that catch you slipping every now and then. And this is what Gus was predicated on. I'm gonna catch you slipping every now and then, and we gonna sneak one, right? The best offenses are, we're gonna line up, you're gonna line up. You might know what we're about to do. Can you stop it is the question. Are you able to actually prevent us from doing the thing we're about to do? I remember, this isn't necessarily Auburn related, but it's about Cam Newton. Everybody remembers the highlight of Cam Newton in Carolina. It was the first year with McCaffrey at running back. They were in a goal-to-goal situation.
Yeah.
And Clay Matthews comes up to the line of scrimmage. He's like, they about to do that wheel route. It's that wheel route. Cam was like, oh, you watch film too? All right, check, watch this. Ray. Right. He was like, okay, you know what's coming. but do you know the counterplay that we have off of that?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go and watch the defense, they probably still would have got burnt quick by the wheel route, but they had absolutely no prayer for that option route that he was running.
Right. It was beautiful, man. That was masterful. I mean, I think who was it? Was the OC at the time? Was that still old guy from Bama? Or was that North Turner by then?
Shula?
Mike Shula. Yeah, it was Shula.
I think it was Shula, which is amazing. So obviously he knows football. God bless him.
Not head coaching just wasn't his thing, and that's some people are better at offensive coordinator than they are a head coach. That's just a fact of life.
That's something we learned for 8 years.
Right. I just think if you look at what we have coming, if they can just do some basic things better, man. Like, I saw a lot of failures in terms of foundational, things that needed to be done for us to be successful. I think that Harsin is coming in and seeing that, and he's really put an emphasis on foundational success, right?
Yeah.
On
fundamentals,
on things Go ahead.
No, I thought you were finished. I was going to highlight what Billy was saying right here. Gus was playing not to lose a lot.
Yeah,
And
I think that cost us that national championship in 2013.
Yeah.
The third quarter came and he started playing not to lose. And the other guy, they had a quarterback too. They had a pretty good quarterback too. They had athletes too. Kelvin Benjamin, Jameis Winston.
And the head coach was Brian's favorite coach.
I mean, don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
Nah, listen, man.
They was stacked top to bottom with talent. I mean, top to bottom, I'd say they probably out-talented us by like a 3-2 margin.
And we was in that booty for the first half of that game.
Deserved to win that game. But, I mean, they had talent. They had good coaches. They adjusted. That's what good coaches do. But we were up in the fourth quarter. I think if we don't have a guy pull a hammy on that kick return, we win that game.
Should have never come down to that.
They needed that kick return to make that comeback.
Should have never come down to that. Caesar and I were at the top of the Rose Bowl watching that. And if you've never been to the Rose Bowl,
I'm sorry.
There is not
out there for that
bad seat in that stadium, right?
Yeah.
There's not a bad seat in that stadium. And as soon as Trey Mason scored with like just under 2 minutes left, I turned to Caesar. I was like, we scored too fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
We left too much time on the clock. That's how it felt. It felt that way. And lo and behold, man, they went back down there and we lost that game. And it was just, that was so symbolic of what Gus's time was like right at Auburn. Was we could not put teams away. We didn't have a go for the throat in the fourth quarter type mentality, or when we were up big. It was just, manage the game. He would turn it loose, get up, and then he would over manage the game and let the other team back in.
Jimbo was reading our mail by that point. Our defense was not good, man.
Yeah,
they were decent. We had some quality pieces, but Jimbo was all in our mail. Social security number. It was over. It was over by then.
Yeah. A comment here that I want to not so much make about Malzahn. Edie Darby says Gus Malzahn did not utilize the coaches in the booth. They were up there for a reason. Listen, one of the things I'm excited about Harsin is that I'm hearing how the coaching staff talks about working with the other coaches in building Auburn's defense, building Auburn's offense, and the trust that exists between the coaches amongst themselves. That's refreshing to hear when we know what happened with the last staff, right? So I like that Harsin who has a ton of experience, who could really just have an ego and say, yo, I got this. He's talking about the other guys and working with them and the experience and the knowledge that they bring to the table. I also like to hear that Harsin is saying, listen, man, I'm not only evaluating these kids, but we're going to go back and evaluate the film and look at how we're coaching these kids.
Mm-hmm. Right. Talk about
are they getting the terminology? Do we need to simplify? Do we need to adjust what we're doing in the film room? Do we need to adjust what we're doing on the field? Like we're going to have the strength and conditioning people look at how they're practicing. What tweaks do we like? I like that Harsin is wanting to tweak everything in order to get better. And I think that was something that went stale and stagnant under Auburn, was that Malzahn just felt like he knew it all, at least on the offensive side of the ball. And so there was no reason to tweak anything. There was no reason to accept input from other coaches. I like that we have someone who's really building a team and a staff to where they can take advantage and build off of each other's knowledge. I like that.
I'm going to be interested to see between drives for the respective sides of the ball, how much conversation is actually happening on the sideline, right? While the defense is out there, is the offense on the sideline actually talking now? Because you didn't see, you just saw people sitting on the sideline
looking,
and, you know, maybe they're cheering on the team and everything, but like, okay, we could cheer later, right? Like, if we're losing this game or we're struggling right now, let's get together and figure this out on the sidelines. Like, let's talk. That's what you got people up there in the booth that are watching this stuff. Are they sending stuff down saying, hey, this is what they're doing to you guys up front. This is how they're playing this stun up front offensive line. You need to pass that off in this way. Wide receivers, hey, this is what they're playing on the back end in the coverage. Like, that guy looks like he's dropping back in the quarters, but he's actually robbing, right? Like, we need to figure that out. You know, is Bo over there getting with, you know, the running backs? And like, are we talking on the sideline? Conversely, on the defense, are you on the sideline talking about what your assignments are supposed to be? Hey, you know, when they're doing this on the offensive line, that guy is pulling around right here. You can shoot that gap. This is what I need you to be able to do, because this is what I'm going to do, right? You hear people start to talk like that, or see them start to talk like that on the sideline, you know, people understand what their responsibilities are, and they understand what they need to do to combat the things that they're seeing on the field. I didn't see that stuff happening a lot. I didn't think that there were a ton of people who were actually out there leading on our team consistently, just because I feel as if we were coaching kids to be robots, and robots don't necessarily have leadership. They just go out and do stuff. Right. And we need people who are going to be having that leadership out there on the field, understanding their responsibilities, and then being able to teach guys, hey, man, when we call this is where your responsibility is supposed to be. You're supposed to be in this gap. And the players need to know that just as much as the coaches, but the coaches need to have the responsibility to be up and coach those guys up on the sideline, too. Hopefully we're getting to that place.
Agreed.
JT Martin, which defensive coach y'all think goes to the booth? I have a hard time thinking that Mason is going to the booth. He looks like a sideline in your face kind of coach. If I had to pick somebody, I'm going with Schmetting going to the booth. That's the inside linebackers coach, Harson's defensive guy at Boise. If I had to pick somebody, I would pick him going to the booth.
And like Mason was saying, he's got Schmetting and the guy from Fresno that were both DCs. You've got real live defensive coordinators. They can be in the booth, but you're the energy guy. I mean, that's the benefit of a quality staff being put together. Instead of calling back to your high school cronies and saying, hey, when y'all want to come work for me as an analyst, instead, listen, you got a DC who's been stopping D1 offenses for 5-10 years. Put him in the booth. He knows what he's looking at better than these high school coaches do. Right. And that's a huge upgrade. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, man. So
where will Bobo call the game from? Somebody saw Ed Darby asked.
No, he's definitely going to be in the booth.
He's going to see him. He looks like him in the booth.
Yeah, and I think that the good thing again about having someone like Harson on the sidelines, right? Like, who is a former OC and is the head coach. He has the insight to be able to be on the sidelines, and we're seeing the same. But okay, I need my eyes in the sky to tell me some stuff. But I think Bobo will be up in the booth for sure if I had to guess something. But yeah, one of my favorite movies is my favorite movie, and I can't even think of the name of it. Denzel Washington football.
Remember the
Titans. But like, Remember the Titans is an example of what I feel like our coaching staff had been before, because what was clear was Herman Boone was like, listen, I got my offense, you got the defense, right? That's not a recipe for unification of a football team, though. Like, somebody needs to be able to be executive and call stuff and say, listen, no, this is what we're trying to do as a team. And this is what I'd like to see us be able to do offensively and defensively, and have the eyes on all of that stuff. Brian Harsin strikes me as a guy he might not be a defensive guy, but he has a pulse on what the defense is attempting to do. So he's going to understand what we need to do strategically all around to get us into a W at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Facts.
Agreed.
Not too many offensive natured coaches are as intense as Harsin's. That's usually a defensive coach thing, that whole run into a wall, rah, I'm going to be in the weight room with you. That's usually defensive guys. Like, I'm thinking about Muschamp. You remember that clip from Muschamp playing coach in Texas as a DC? and in the national championship game, he's on the clipboard, like about to bust through the
Yeah.
clipboard with his hands.
Yeah.
Like that's
remember
that defensive coach energy. And it's not that Harsin necessarily showed that he's gonna be like that, but he's built like a defensive coach as far as how he approaches the game. So I think that's a good mix for him. For us.
He's an intense guy. I mean, he's calculated. He's detailed. You know, I think he leads by example. There's a lot of things to look forward to this fall when it comes to what he's going to do. I'm just looking forward to the scheme, man. The scheme has just got to be better to me. He's got all the talent, man. Coach him up and then put together a scheme based on what you have and not what you hope you have.
Right.
Seemed like we schemed based on what we hoped we had a lot, in spite of what we actually had.
I see some good verbiage y'all are calling out here in the chat, man. You know what I'm saying? Bullet reserve. I digs the bullet. Purple.
I dig bullet reserve. I dig bullet reserve.
Somebody said something else earlier that I don't think I've had.
Yo, Edie, you gonna make me stream this movie tonight?
Yeah,
all right. You gonna keep with the lines now. You gonna make me stream this movie
what is
tonight?
pain? French bread.
Yeah, you gonna make me stream it for real.
Right. So we're gonna host a watch party for Remember the Titans right before the season starts, so everybody can come live stream it with us, and then we'll get ourselves fired up for the game or something.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah, man.
Hostile, agile.
Keep going. I'm loving the jokes, the Waffle House jokes that never gets old. I appreciate that, guys. That's hilarious. D Williams thinks that that's Billy. D thinks that Mason may actually go to the booth.
Yeah, I think Billy agrees with that. Said he thinks that Mason. Well, I think he was surprised that someone said that, or maybe they're surprised that we said that Mason would be on the field.
Yeah, I see Mason being on the field. I just do. But again, you don't find these things out to a week or two before the season starts. So it'll be interesting to see what decisions are made there.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys,
we got anything else?
Man, no, listen, thank you, everybody. Our 100th live stream. Incredibly blessed and humbled that you guys want to come with us twice a week to talk football. So
that's a good one. That's a good one, Lawrence. I like that.
Definitely. So, in closing, if you did not hear it the first 100 times we said it, become an insider. $5.99 will get you there. We have a lot more premium content we're going to be bringing to our insiders. So, we appreciate our supporter level as well too. Any support obviously helps us continue to grow what we do for you guys. We want to continue to grow that consistently. I can honestly say that I think we're the only content creators in the space bringing any kind of creativity and ingenuity to the content that we provide, and consistently improving on that. So that is an ongoing process for us. It only gets better from here. So if you like what we have now, you're definitely going to love what we have coming. And then chop it up with a pro 1 week from Thursday. Do not miss this. You guys are just going to enjoy talking to Chris Todd so much. He's very technical. Our second part of the Coach Yachts interview is coming on Monday. Insiders will get it on Saturday. And of course, our GoFundMe, you can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. I posted it in the live chat. This is a great way to support what we do. We appreciate you guys as our community, as always. So that is all I have.
And again, if you are new watching this either live or on the replay and you have yet to do so, please, by all means, like and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're out there on social media, you can find us at The War Report on Instagram and Twitter. We are also the TW Report on TikTok. Signing off. Thanks again for your support for the 100th episode. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.